Welcome to my maths class, IIT Foundation Maths for 6th class students. Chapter 3, Fractions and Decimals, Comparison of Fractions. If we take a set of like fractions, the fraction whose numerator is greatest is the greatest, and the fraction whose numerator is the least fraction. But what is meant by like fractions? The fractions whose denominators are the same are called like fractions. For example, like fractions. Factors whose denominators are the same. For example, 5 by 9, 6 by 9, 3 by 9, 11 by 9. All these are like fractions. The denominators are the same. In these like fractions, whose numerator is greatest? Here 11 is the greatest of all the numbers. So 11 by 9 is the greatest fraction. The fraction whose numerator is the least or smallest is the least fraction. 3 is least among all the numerators. Therefore 3 by 9 is the least. This is the greatest, and 3 by 9 is the least or smallest fraction. Thus, we can compare the like fractions. So, unlike fractions are the fractions whose denominators are different. For example, 1 by 2, 3 by 4, 5 by 6, 7 by 3, etc. The denominators are different. Such fractions are called unlike fractions. So, to compare unlike fractions, we have to convert these unlike fractions into like fractions, into fractions whose denominators are the same. We have to convert them. For example, take 1 by 2 and 3 by 2. These two are unlike fractions because the denominators are different. So, we have to convert this into the fraction whose denominator is 4. So multiply both numerator and denominator by 2. Then we get 2 by 4. So this is 2 by 4 and 3 by 4. To compare 2 by 4 and 3 by 4, the fraction whose numerator is greater is greater. 3 by 4 is greater than 2 by 4 because 3 is greater than 2. As these are like fractions, as the denominator is same for the two fractions, they are like fractions. So we can compare them as we compare the like fractions. But unlike fractions whose numerators are the same can be compared easily. The denominators are different. Therefore, these are unlike fractions. But numerators are the same. So we can compare these fractions. The fraction whose denominator is least is the greatest of all the fractions. So 2 is least. Therefore 3 by 2 is greatest fraction. Greatest fraction. And among all these denominators, 7 is the greatest. Therefore 3 by 7 is the smallest fraction. Thus, we can compare the unlike fractions whose numerators are the same. And we can compare the like fractions. Like fractions are the fractions whose denominators are the same. Take some examples. Number 1, compare 5 by 6 and 2 by 6. 5 by 6 and 2 by 6 have the same denominator. Therefore, they are like fractions. So, in like fractions, the fraction whose numerator is greater. So in these two numerators 5 is greater. Therefore 5 by 6 is greater than 2 by 6. Next, compare 8 by 9 and 8 by 5. Here the denominators are 9 and 5 are different. These are unlike fractions. But the numerators are the same, 8 and 8. Therefore we can compare it. In the fractions whose numerators are same and denominators are different, the fraction whose denominator is least is the greatest fraction, and the fraction whose denominator is greatest is the smallest fraction. Therefore here 5 is less than 9. Therefore this fraction is greater, 8 by 5 is greater than 8 by 9. Next one, compare 1 by 5 and 3 by 5. These two are unlike fractions whose denominators are different and the numerators also different. Now we have to convert them into like fractions. We have to convert into like fractions. Like fractions. Therefore, take 1 by 5. If we multiply 5 by 2, we get the denominator as 10. Therefore, then the two fractions become like fractions. Therefore, take 1 by 5 and multiply both numerator and denominator by 2. 1 into 2 by 5 into 2. That is equal to 2 by 10. Therefore, 2 by 10 and 3 by 10. These are the two factors to be compared. Therefore, these two are the like fractions, and among the like fractions whose numerator is greater is the greater fraction. Therefore, 3 by 10 is greater than 2 by 10. Thus, we can compare the fractions in these three different ways.